Okay, sorry about that. I forgot to recording the call. So we're going to see how you can work across different time zones, how you can set up a professional virtual assistant workspace, how you can organize digital files and cloud storage, applying basic security and backup practices, analyzing virtual assistants job descriptions, and finally, how to identify your own gap and your learning needs. So we're going to quickly run through all of that. So please, as I said, this class is going to be interactive. So I would like you all to pay attention, and when I ask questions, please, the questions will be very simple. And we're all here to learn. So don't be shy or afraid to respond. And as I said before, if at any point you stop hearing me or you can't see my screen that is being shared, please quickly notify me. So thank you very much for that. So we move. What is a virtual assistant? Well, a virtual assistant can be defined as a professional who provides services and business support to clients remotely using digital technology. So a virtual assistant is a person, a professional who provides services and business support to clients remotely using digital technologies. Now, what does virtual mean? It means that a VA does not necessarily need to be physically present in the client office. You see, before to assist someone in their office, you have to be there, very close to a secretary. But a virtual assistant does not have to be physically present in a client's office. So a VA can work from the comfort of their home, from their personal private office, from a co-working space. A co-working space could be a tech hub or from another approved remote location. Okay, Joseph said it is keeping. Please, is it just from Joseph end or is it from everyone's end? Is my voice skipping? Please, you can just reply through the chat. Is my voice skipping?
No, sir. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you very much, Wilson. Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Also. Okay, so as a virtual assistant, you can work from the comfort of your home. You can work from a private office. You can work from a co-working space, which is usually a tech hub, or from any approved remote location. But something we should note, not everybody who works remotely is a virtual assistant. So we just want to get that. So why a virtual assistant is a remote worker, but not all remote workers are virtual assistants. So it's possible for a tutor to work remotely. It's possible for even a photographer to work remotely. It's possible for teachers to work remotely, but that does not mean they're virtual assistants. So, but virtual assistants are remote workers, but not all remote workers are virtual assistants. So what services does a VA? Now, I will use the term VA to refer to a virtual assistant from now for. I will put them interchangeably, depending on whichever. So a VA may provide administrative support, executive support, customer service, research, social media assistant, acting as a social media manager, e-commerce support, data entry, scheduling, email management, file organization, and others. So a note here, a remote work describe how or where the work is performed, while a virtual assistant describe the professional service being provided. So let's differentiate that. Remote work describes how or where work is being performed, while a virtual assistant describes the professional services being provided. So if you should look at the picture here, you could say this is like a co-work space, and you could see different people working from their system on their laptop. So that is like it might be a public office and stuff. So a virtual assistant could work on many of the places there. Now, who hire virtual assistants? So imagine if you are going into a trade or a business, definitely you want to know who your customers are or who would benefit from your services. So who hire virtual assistants? We have virtual assistants are hired and provide support to individuals such as entrepreneur and business owner, executives and consultants, startups and small business owners, e-commerce company, agencies and online businesses, professionals and remote team. Now, why do these people hire virtual assistants? Well, they hire them to for client delegate. Okay, the client does this in order to delegate tasks to the virtual assistants, as this will help the client to focus time on higher level responsibility. In other words, these clients, whether an executive, a consultant, a professional, and agencies, they hire VAs so as to delegate some tasks to the VA so that they can focus on some of the highest level responsibility. So that is the reason why VAs are hired. So VAs help them to manage their emails, to schedule meetings and to manage the schedule, to do research, to do follow-up, to document things, and also for customer support. So, for example, it's possible for a someone like an executive who have so much meeting to attend to. Imagine the executive would not want to spend time trying to schedule all the meeting, arrange them, go through all his emails because he has to prepare for the meeting itself. So what does he do? He hires a virtual assistant to assist. He hires a virtual assistant to assist. So that is how it works. Sorry. So what are some of the major VA specializations? We have administrative VA. These usually do general administrative. We have executive VA. These help to support executive and business leaders. We have social media VA. Some other people call the social media managers. They are involved in content, publishing, engagement, and social media support. Some of the top stars in the world, to be sincere, they they hardly really are the one managing their own account. They have someone doing it for them, and which is a social media virtual assistant. Yes, they may be the one to tell the person what to post, what to reply, but the person manage their social media account for them. We have customer service VA for customer communication, issue reservation, and support. We have e-commerce VA. We have research VA. So for one who is coming into the VA space for the first time, the general encouragement or advice is want to start broad so as to build the foundational skills. Then along the line, we'll be able to identify your strengths. Then you'll be able to develop a specialization. Then you'll be able to expand strategically. So as a VA, you should be able to combine different specializations, such as administrative, social media, executive, research, e-commerce, and customer support. You should be able to combine various specialization or at least one or two specialization. Now, what does each specialization do? I'll do a quick run over here. An administrative VA, for example, help with email and calendar management, appointment schedule and data entry, and others. So the key skills for an administrative VA are organization. The person has to be organized, communication, time management, attention to details. Now we have an executive VA. This helps to support CEOs, founders, director, executive, and senior professionals. Their tasks could involve executive calendar and meeting management, agenda preparation and meeting notes meeting notes and minutes, taking the meeting notes and minutes, reports, presentation, travel schedule, even booking flights and booking hotels for their clients. An executive virtual assistant does that. So the critical skills needed here is discretion and confidentiality. How about the social media VA? The social media VA help in content research, idea, and capture writing. hashtag research and content calendar, and so forth. Usually, they focus on flow. They research, they create caption or content, design graphics, schedule posts, and monitor comments. Their goal is to ensure that their client's social and accounts really does what it is supposed to do. Then, for a customer support virtual assistant, they help in answering questions, answering inquiries, and responding to support emails. They handle live chats and complaints. They follow up on issue and provide information. They focus on process such as receiving maybe a complaint, understanding the complaint, investigating, resolving or escalating it to an higher authority, responding and keeping record. Sorry. Yeah, and e-commerce virtual assistants help to support online stores with product listing and product research, order related tasks and inventory updates, customer support, and store administration. While a research VA researches things. Market, they researches the market, they research competitors, they research products, they research industry, they research leads and customer, and also other websites. So these are just a quick overview of the different specializations in the virtual assistant space. And as I said before, as a virtual assistant, we should be able to combine at least two of these skills together because usually most tasks will require more than one specialization. Most usually require more than that. Now, what are some of the professional research process? This professional research is more than simply searching Google. Irrespective of the specialization you may finally end up in, you always do research and you want to give your client a professional result. To do that, it's not a matter of just going to Google and asking Google or just going to ChatGPT or any of the AI and asking questions. No, you must be able to search very well. You must be able to evaluate. You must be able to verify source. You must be able to then organize and present your research findings. Usually, a research virtual assistant carries out this course, but others also do something similar. So, a research virtual assistant follows this structured workflow to ensure findings are accurate, are credible, and clearly communicated to clients, transforming raw information into actionable insights. So, because your clients trust you so much, if you should give them information that are not correct, they may not know. And when it gets out there and it backfires, definitely it will ball very badly on you. So, as a virtual assistant, especially if you are one who goes into research virtual assistant, you must ensure you follow this structured workflow. You search, you evaluate your search, you verify the sources of the search, you organize the search, and you present it to your client in such a way that your client is able to take actionable insights or decisions. Now, for a virtual assistant, you need some skills. You need both technical and professional skills. Both technical and professional skills. This will help you to be successful. So, what are some of the technical skills you need? Well, first, you need the ability to perform specific work such as email management, either Google Mail, Yahoo Mail, or whatever mail your clients may be using. You will be able to do data entry, be able to carry out research, as we just spoke about some few seconds ago, be able to manage files. Now, when I mean manage files here, as we said, a virtual assistant does not work physically, but remotely. So you should be able to manage files, online files, online folders, something like Google Drive, OneDrive. You should be able to understand those. You should be able to do spreadsheet skills. Spreadsheets have to do with Excel, document creation, Word, Google Doc, calendar management, or Outlook, social media assistance. So these are some technical skills you need. But also important is also what I call your professional or soft skills. And this is your ability to work effectively and professionally. For example, how is your communication? Are you a good communicator? How about organization? Are you organized? Are you reliable, trustworthy? How is your time management? Can you manage your own personal time at first? Now also be able to manage someone else's time? Somebody's mic is muted, please. Somebody's mic is muted. Uh, that is Savior. Welcome to the class. Please, I will appreciate if we can keep our mic muted. Oh, thank you very much for doing that. Okay. So, problem solving. How good are you at solving problem? Sometimes some of us, when we see problem, rather than trying to look for a way to solve the problem, some people just complain, and a client will not want that. A client will want someone that is able to see a problem and provide possible solution for them, not someone that keeps complaining about the problem or keep blaming who caused the problem, but someone who can solve the problem. And that is what a VA does. A VA does not see a problem, even if he or she thinks the client is the cause of the problem and blame or try to nag about the problem. No, you try to solve the problem for your client. How adaptable are you to situations? How accountable are you? And how professional are you? So these are soft skills. So the technical skills are sometimes called hard skills, while the professional skills are called the soft skills. So these are skills that you will need as a VA. Now, what are some foundational VA skills? Well, first, communication. You must be able to understand instruction clearly, ask questions, and to give updates. Organization. You must be able to manage tasks, file, emails, meeting, and deadline. So you must be organized. A VA is a very organized person, to be sincere, because you have to organize both your own personal life and your client activities to ensure that both of them run smoothly. If a VA is not organized in their personal life, it will show in their client's activity. There will be problems. Imagine a VA that is supposed to maybe send a message for a client by 8 a.m. And because the VA is not organized, maybe the VA slept very late and the VA is waking up by 9 a.m. So you see, as a VA, you must try your best to be organized. Then time management. Yes, a VA must be someone who can manage time very well. In short, organization and time management goes together. If you can manage your time very well, to give you enough time to be organized. But if you cannot manage your time very well, you find it difficult to be an organized person. So as a VA, this is a skill you want to develop if you don't have it at now. Time management also means if your client asks you to be available online for a call by 10 o'clock and you've agreed, you should be there before 10 or nothing should stop you from being there by 10 o'clock. Imagine you are having a call with your client and your client has been there 15 minutes, 10 minutes waiting for you. It shows a lack of organization and time management. So you want to prioritize, work according to urgency, importance, and deadline. Then attention to detail. You should be able to identify errors and inconsistencies. And finally, you should be reliable. As a VA, you should do what you agree to do correctly and on time. Even sometimes when it is inconvenient for you, you try to do it. So it makes you to be reliable. And when your client sees these skills in you, they will love working with you. Even when you make mistakes, they'll be able to overlook it because they know you are reliable. But if you should have a record of not being reliable, you can't communicate very well, you are not organized, you can't manage time, you are not attentive to detail, then you'll become unreliable to your clients and you may lose that client. Other skills you need as a VA are your problem solving skills, discussed about that before, your adaptability. Adaptability means as a VA, you are not perfect, number one. Number two, new software comes out usually on a daily basis, and you may need to learn this while still working as a VA. So being adaptable Means your willingness to learn new software, new skills, new system, and new workflow. So you have to be accountable also. Accountability goes also with reliability. And accountability also means you take responsibility for your work and your mistake. Now, we are humans, we make mistakes. But how do you respond to your mistake? Are you the type of person that when you make mistake, you blame others? Or you are the type when you make mistake, you take responsibility, you apologize, you promise not to do it, and you try your best to ensure it does not occur again. Now that is the difference between someone that is accountable and someone that is not accountable. And in your own personal life, you might have discovered this also. Everyone loves someone that is accountable, not because they are perfect, but because they always take responsibility, even when they make mistakes. You know, everybody likes taking the glory when they have done something good. But the real test of a VA is when they make mistake. Are you accountable? Do you take responsibility and do you make plans to avoid it? Then confidentiality is also very important. When you work as a VA, you would come to know some confidential information of your client. Now, you must protect those private client information, their business information. You must protect it. And that is the reason why most clients would always ensure that their virtual assistant signs a NDA. You could lose your reputation, your job, and if possible, a huge sum of money if you reveal a client's private or business information. So the question is, are you someone who knows how to keep confidentiality? If not, you have to learn that skills now. Then you have to be professional also. You should be able to maintain proper behavior, communicate professionally, and work standard. So if you're having a call with your client, that does not mean you just dress the way you like and you just come on air. No, you have to come professionally. You have to be prepared for the call. So those are some of the skills you need as a VA. Now, what are some digital tools you need as a VA? If you remember, when we introduced a VA, we said the virtual assistant is one who work with digital tools because you are not there physically with your clients. So you work with them using digital tools. Now, there are a lot of those tools. We have the Google Workspace, we have the one of Microsoft and others. So those tools can be divided into various groups. We have some tools called the productivity tools, such as Google Workspace, Microsoft 360, Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive. Some of these tools are communication tools, Gmail, Outlook, Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, Slack, and so forth. Some of these tools are project management tools, Trello, Asana, ClickUp, Notion, also called Notion AI. Some are design tools, such as Canva, while a lot now are AI-powered tools, such as ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloudy, depending on whatever it is you use or your client asks you to use, Microsoft Copilot. Now, sometimes when these tools are mentioned, a lot of people become afraid that, well, number one, I don't know all of these tools. Number two, I have I cannot master all of them between now and maybe by the end of this course. Now, please do not be afraid. You do not need to master every tool immediately. So you want to focus on understanding the purpose of each of the category and becoming prolific with the tool required by your clients. Now, this is important. For certain reasons, some clients will decide to use Google Workspace over Microsoft 360. Now, if you are someone that uses Google Workspace, you'll be very happy because you very much knows how to use most of what Google has to offer. But imagine if you are a person that uses Google Workspace, but your client is asking you to use Microsoft 360 and you've not used it before. So at that point, your adaptability is being tested. So you try your best to become prolific in Microsoft 360 for the sake of your clients. And sometimes you can be truthful with your client, let them know that, okay, you are willing to learn this and they should just give you some little time to learn them. and some clients will accept that. So these are some of the digital tools that VA use. Trust me, there are other tools, but these are just the basic ones. Now, this takes us to another aspect of a VA's work, which is called a remote work. Now, what is a remote work? A remote work is a working arrangement where a professional will perform responsibility outside of the client or employer's traditional physical office. In other words, a remote work is a work where the client and the professional are not in the same physical office or the same physical building. For example, a Canada client and a Nigeria virtual assistant. In short, for example, it can be a client in your own state, but in different place. For example, a client might be in Abuja, while you as a virtual assistant, you are in Lagos. That is also a remote work. As long as both the client and the professional are not in the same physical or traditional physical office or space, it is a remote work. So it's possible for a client and a professional VA to be in the same city, but yet it is a remote work. So the task could be that you receive the task online, you communicate via email or Slack, even WhatsApp, you meet through Zoom, you share files through Google Drive, and you deliver your completed work online. But one thing is very important. A remote work always requires a digital communication and it requires self-management. So that is what makes it a remote work. So the remote virtual assistant workflow is the virtual assistant takes the client instruction, understands the tasks, asks clarification when needed, plan and prioritize delivering the tasks. Professionalism and the virtual assistant mindset. Now, what is professionalism? Professionalism is the behavior, the attitude, and the communic. Sorry, please, before I go on, please, can you hear me? I've been speaking for quite a long time. Can you guys hear me? Someone can just unmute and reply. Okay. All right, Joseph, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I believe you can also see my screen. Thank you. So, professionalism. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Joy. Now, professionalism is the behavior, attitude, communication, reliability, and work standard expect in a professional environment. Please, let's notice it. It is your behavior, your attitude, your communication skill, your reliability, and your work standard that is expected in a professional environment. So it is not okay, oh, this is how I am, oh, this is my behavior, oh. If you like, take it. If you like, don't take it. That is not being professional at all. There are certain behavior that are expected in a professional or business environment. There are certain attitudes you are expected to show in a working environment. There are certain ways of communication. There are certain way of being reliable. There are certain standards, work standards that are expected of you. Your ability to show all of these is what makes you professional. Take for example, let me just answer this question. Do you think it will be professional if a let me say a female secretary at a conference should just go and hug her boss, a married boss? Do you think it will be considered professional? No. That is just the truth. No. Even if they are friends, okay, now let me phrase it. Even if they are friends and people know they are friends and they are in a business conference, will it be right for her to go and hug him? No. Thank you. But what if they met outside, maybe in a social event? Do you think there's anything wrong if you should give him a hug and everybody knows they are friends? Now, the answer to that would be yes. No. If they are friends and they should meet in a social gathering that is not business and people know they are friends, they could hug. But in the business conference, they are not expected to do that. Even sometimes you notice some business married people, there is a way they show affection to themselves in a business setting. They try to be professional when the environment is professional. So once as a VA, that is something you always want to have in mind. There is a standard that is expected of you when you work with clients. There's a way you speak to them. You have to be professional. So a professional VA is one that is reliable and meets deadlines. Is one that communicates clearly. Is one that follows instruction. Is one that protects confidentiality. That stays organized. That takes accountability. That deliver quality work. These things are not difficult. They're not difficult, but it usually takes one to become a bit better than wherever they are initially. But when you become very good at it, it comes to you naturally. Take, for example, if you are one that is not very time conscious, but for the sake of being a VA, you learn to become time conscious. Now, what are some of the professional mindsets of a virtual assistant? One, it must be reliable. Whatever you are asked to do or whatever you say you will do, you will do it. So if your client has given you a research to do and you've agreed that, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to submit, you should ensure you do that. Responsiveness. You respond to important communication appropriately. Quality. You want to review your work before submitting it, ensuring that it is a quality work you are giving. Because your clients sometimes will come to trust you to the extent that whatever work you give to them, they may not even go through it. They would just submit it because they trust you. So you are the one that ensures that they get quality outputs. Accountability. Now, I would not overemphasize this. I said it. You are not perfect. You will make mistakes. But please ensure you own mistake and you correct them. You own mistake and you correct them. Maybe you have to submit a research paper, and for certain reason, one of your source is not correct. So, which means the quality of your work was not up to standard. And your client notices it and brings it to your attention. How do you react? Do you feel like, oh, of everything I've been doing, just this mistake and is complaining? No, you own the mistake and you promise not to do it. And if possible, you ask him or her to give you that research and you correct it and you submit it again. Then you want to always take initiative. Sometimes working with someone, you can see things ahead of them. So you want to identify problems and suggest solutions when appropriate. When appropriate. There are some things that may be personal to your clients. You would try your best not to mingle into them. But when it is professional, it has to do with the business and your agreement. You want to be able to identify them beforehand and suggest solutions respectfully to them. Please, let's always remember as a VA, you are assisting your client. So if your client is making a decision that you do not like personally, please, you do not contradict them simply because you do not personally accept what they're doing. We realize sometimes it is a business decision they're taking and they're just asking you to assist them to do it. Then boundaries. I've gone into this before. Understand when you are expected to work and when you are not expected. Respect the boundary. Respect your boundary and respect their boundary. When you respect the boundary, it creates mutual respect between you and your client. Take, for example, if your agreement is okay, you start working GMT, 9 o'clock GMT, and by 6 p.m. GMT, which is 1800, you are done working. Once it's that time and you ensure you've done everything you want to do, stop. There's no need chatting up your boss after that time. So you have to respect boundary, especially from your point. And you also, you would want your client to stay out of some of your, or if possible, to stay out of life. So also stay out of their personal life also. So you want to respect boundaries. Okay. Time and tax management. We've spoken a little about this. Time management is the process of planning, organizing, and prioritizing available time so that tasks are completed effectively. You plan, you manage, and you organize time so that tasks are completed effectively. There's a sample of a task schedule here. Your client asks you for a report. The deadline is 10 a.m. High priority. Email responses for you to reply to some email on his behalf. Deadline is 12 p.m. Is high. Spreadsheet, 3 p.m. is medium. File organization, you have to submit that on Friday. You see, it is low. So these are some things you want to put in mind. So please, you want to learn to manage time and tasks very well. You should be able to separate tasks that are of high priority with tasks that are of low priority. Take, for example, you woke up by 8 o'clock and then you have a task you have to submit by Friday, but there's a report you have to give by 10 o'clock. Do you think it will be right for you to start organizing the file today when you've not even done the report? No. So, as a VA, you want to learn to prioritize very well. So, what is the general daily planning process? One, you want to review what you do for that day. You want to list the tasks. Then you want to identify their deadline. Then, based on the identified deadline, you want to prioritize. Estimate the time you spend on them. Then you want to schedule and then work based on your schedule. Then you review and you update. Now, even with this, you will not be perfect. But if you can learn to manage time and tasks now, even before you start applying for VA job, it will make it easier for you then. So some of these skills are things you can start applying in your personal life today. So that over time, by the time you are done with the course and you want to start applying for job, you are prepared. You've learned them. So it will be difficult for you to learn. Sorry for that. Sorry. It will be difficult for you to start learning this thing while on the job. It will be difficult. And your client will notice and they will not be happy. So now is the best time to start practicing these things in your personal life. Maybe you have something you want to do by the end of this week and you have something to do tomorrow. Manage it, organize it, and work towards it. You might have to manage when you will sleep this night to ensure you wake up early tomorrow to achieve some things. Some of the women, they are very good at time management because when it comes to taking care of a home, you need to know how to manage time very well. But irrespective of whether we are male or female, we want to learn to do this also. We don't want to be one that usually is at the deadline. You see, some people at the deadline, that is when they'll be rushing. No. If you do that, the quality of your work will be low. I'm sure most of you must have experienced it if you have children or you've done it. Imagine an homework you start doing like 3 days before submitting it, and the one you start doing on the morning of when you want to submit it. Usually, you do very bad on the one you start doing that morning. Is that not so? But if you start preparing for the assignment 3 days before, usually you score better. So that is how it is also. When you manage time and tasks very well, the quality of your tasks would be very high and your clients would be impressed. So how do we prioritize? Well, to prioritize, there are 4 areas where you prioritize things. 4. Now, some things are urgent and important. Some things are urgent but less important. Some things are not urgent but important, while some things are not urgent and less important. Now, let's go through this. If you can see my cursor, I believe so. The top left part of it are things that are urgent and important. Those things you have to do them immediately. Things that are urgent and they are important, you do them immediately. Yes, there are some things that are urgent, that are important, but they are not urgent. Those things you schedule a time for them, which is the box at the top right. There are things that they are important, but they are not urgent. While some things are urgent, but they are less important. They are urgent, but they are not important. So these things, you have to handle them effectively, efficiently. While some things are not urgent and they are not important, or let me say they are less important. These things you can decide to complete them later. Now, generally, let me ask you, imagine if maybe there's a movie you want to watch and you know your client has a message that must be sent in the next 1 hour. Would you decide that, okay, let me finish watching the movie, then I'll send the message? Definitely not. The movie we want to watch is not urgent. There's nobody that will likely kill you for not watching the movie at that time. And it is less important when compared to sending a client's message that has a deadline. So when you are able to place things within these four balls, you're able to know what to prioritize and what not to prioritize. So the practical rules are, before starting any work, you want to know what needs to be done, when it is due, when is it due, how important is it, how long will it take, and what should be done first. I still come back to the women. They're very good at it. Usually, you see a woman a mother, when she wakes up in the morning, in her head, she has already planned everything. She knows the things that are urgent and the things that are less urgent. If she has children, she has husband, in her head, and you see them, they'll be working effectively, especially for those women who are very good at organizing things. So this is something you also want to learn to do. Now, you want to also learn to understand and manage deadlines. A deadline is the specific date or time by which a task must be completed, or by which a task must be completed before or on. That is a deadline. Before or on. So as a professional rule, know the exact deadline. You plan backward and you complete enough time to review. Now, this is what it means. If the exact deadline is by 3 o'clock, you will not start doing your work by 3 o'clock. No. You have to hold 3 o'clock, then you plan backward. Okay, if I have to complete this task by at least 3 o'clock, when can I start doing the task so as to ensure that by 3 o'clock at least, I'm done? Then you have to also ensure that you give yourself enough time to finish the task and to preview it. Let me use an example some of us might have experienced. Imagine when you were younger and you wanted to submit assignments. Imagine an assignment you completed the night before. Usually in the morning before you submit, you just go through it again. The night in the morning before you submit, you just quickly go through the assignment again. But if you are doing the assignment that morning and the teacher is asking you to submit, you find out that the best you can do is you can just finish the assignment and submit. You don't have time to review. So to be able to manage deadline, you have to know the exact deadline, you have to plan backward, and you have to give yourself enough time to finish and to review it. Take, for example, if you're asked to send a completed report by Thursday at 4 p.m., the exact deadline is on Thursday, 4 p.m. So you don't start doing the task by 4 p.m. on Thursday. And the deadline is not anytime on Thursday. It is 4 p.m. before or on 4 p.m. on Thursday. So if you are submitting that report by 1 minute after 4 on Thursday, you did not meet the deadline. So please, this is very important for us. In Africa, we have this idea of African man time. Please, international clients and even executives, CEOs that are Africans and Nigerians, they would not take that from you. Because even they will be working they might be working on a deadline. Maybe your client wants to submit a report by 4:30 and is asking you to make the report ready by 4 o'clock so that he will be able to go through it before submitting. And you are submitting the report to him by 4:30 on dot. How would you expect him to do? So please, let's put that in mind. Now, if you there are some situations that might help you to miss a deadline or that might cause you to meet a deadline. So you want to identify what the problem is, you want to estimate additional time, you want to inform the client early, you want to explain briefly, and you want to provide a realistic new delivering date. Now, things happen in our life. And because of some personal things in our life, you might realize that you will not be able to meet up to a deadline. Not because you are not reliable, but maybe because unexpected events happen. And trust me, they would happen. So how do you handle it? First, you want to identify the problem that is preventing you from meeting the deadline. You want to estimate if you can finish it in the additional time or not. Then, if you cannot, you want to inform your client early. Now, this is very important. If you cannot meet a deadline for a genuine reason, ensure you inform your client early. Even if you are going to miss that deadline by 5 minutes, inform your client. Realize that your client may need your own information to make his own information. So inform the client early, not until the deadline. 2 minutes to the deadline is when you now tell your client, sorry, I cannot make the report available. So and so thing has happened in my family. No. Immediately something happened that you know would likely affect you meeting the deadline, you inform your client immediately. Then you briefly explain what the reason is, and then you tell the client you provide a realistic new delivering time or date. Oh, I'm sorry, I won't be able to provide it by 4 p.m. today because so and so thing occur. Unfailingly, 5 p.m. it will be available. Your client will be able to also make good mistake from you. Your client will be able to make good decision from his side also. So please, when life happens, when you become a VA, remember this rule. Ensure you inform your client early. Do not wait till the deadline before telling them sorry. So, what are some of the professional communication etiquette as a virtual assistant? When you are working with an email, you want to ensure that your email has clear subject lines, that's the professional tools, and use proper grammar. Thank God for AI. You could always use them. But please ensure that you use it responsibly. Video call. Be punctual. Be prepared. And use a professional background. Please, a few minutes. I'm sorry, I actually thought my video was on. My network is a bit, I don't know if you can see my video, but I'll continue. Network is a bit slow here. Then, how about if you are maybe projecting from a project platform? Use accurate updates, proper tax documentation. How about while chatting on WhatsApp, on Slack? You want to be concise, you want to be respectful, and you want to respond timely. Please, you cannot be a VA and your data is off. During your working hour, your data cannot be off, your phone cannot be off. Please. So if you are one that your phone is sometimes off, or you use off your data, or your battery used to run down, you better get a power bank and you get a good internet. So because you have to respond properly on time. Then on voice call, you want to speak clearly and you want to try your best to minimize background noise. Then if you are working with a team, you want to be respectful, you want to be inclusive, and you want to be constructive.
You want to ensure that the team works. You don't want to be the reason why the team is having problem. So there's a golden rule. You have to be clear when communicating. You have to be respectful. You have to be concise, and it has to be appropriate. So before sending any form of communication, you want to check that it contains day, date, and time, attachment and links, your grammar and your instructions are clear. Now, asking for clarification. Now, this is very important also. Sometimes when we receive instruction and we are not clear with it, what a lot of us do is we assume and you go and do it, only to find out that what the person asks you is different from what you are doing. And 80% of the time, we are going to blame them, say, hey, you didn't say when and stuff like that. You don't do that with a client. So whenever you receive an instruction from your client, you want to ask for clarification. You do not ever guess something, because your guessing might affect your client negatively. There's a scenario here. Imagine if a client say, prepare the report for next week meetings. Now the problem is which reports? Maybe you have more than 1 or 2 reports you are preparing for your client. So what should be your professional response? You want to ask, could you please confirm which reports you would like me to prepare for next week meeting? And if possible, you can ask which meeting next week if you have more than 1 meeting. So if you have more than 1 report, you have more than 1 meeting scheduled for next week, and your client is just telling you, please prepare the report for next week meeting. Do not assume that, okay, it is this report and that meeting. It might harm your client negatively. So professionally, you want to ask, could you clarify or confirm which reports you would like me to prepare for which meeting next week if there are more than 1 meetings? So when you want to ask good clarification question, you want to be specific. It needs to be short. It needs to be professional, and it needs to be relevant. And trust me, it is better you offend your client by asking for clarification rather than offending him by guessing and making mistake. So, ask instead of guessing is a rule. Now, what if you are to update your client on something and you want to update them on the progress of a task or the completion of the task? What do you do? Well, you want to progress updates. You want to tell the client an example. The customer spreadsheet has been cleaned and organized. I am reviewing the remaining duplicate record and expected to complete the final review by 2 tomorrow. Now, notice something. You are not done with the task, but you've done part of the task. To keep your client updated, you give him what is called the progress update. The progress update does exactly that. It helps your client to be updated with the progress you are making. Now, the client understands you've done A, B, C. What is remaining is X, Y, Z, and you've promised it to be available tomorrow by 2 p.m. What if you are done with the task? Do you just call the client or you just message, done? No, you don't do that. Instead, you send a professional message. The customer database has been updated, duplicated entries removed, and the final spreadsheet saved in the client folder. Good communication. So when you are either giving a progress update or a completion update, you want to ask yourself, what is completed? What is in progress? Is there any problem or delay? What happens next? And what is the expected completion time? With this question in mind, you will know how to communicate with your client. Now, this brings us to a very important aspect of it. Please, before I go on, please, are you guys following? Is my voice clear? Are you seeing my screen? I just want to confirm that. Okay. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Joy. I really appreciate. Please, if there is any hinge along the way, please, you can also quickly draw my attention to it. Now, what is confidentiality? I'm sure we all know this. Confidentiality means protecting information that should not be disclosed to unauthorized people. Please, this is very important. Confidentiality is very important. If you make a mistake in submitting a report, your client might just be angry at you. If you did not maybe do a task when you're supposed to do it, your client might be angry at you. You might even just lose your job. But if you should make the mistake to diverge confidentiality, you might lose more than your job. I'm telling you the truth. You might lose more than your job. You can be sued for doing it. So at this point, you want to ask yourself, am I the kind of person that knows how to keep it confidential or not? When people come into this space of a VA, we are all very excited. Imagine how happy you will be when you get your first client. You will be very happy. You might want to tell your friends, you want to tell your family. There is nothing wrong in telling them you've gotten a VA job. Now that is not confidential. Confidential is you failing to protect the informations of your client that are not to be disclosed to unauthorized people. Their business information, their personal information. The truth is, some of the clients would not even tell you. They expect you to know. I don't know if you are following along. Your clients expect you to know that once you become aware or you gain knowledge of some information, you should understand immediately that this information is a confidential information. If you are married, you should not tell your husband. If you are married, you should not tell your wife. So that is how it is. As a VA, you must learn to protect confidentiality and data of your clients, and even sometimes of yourself. You cannot expect the phone or the system you are using to save some business information or private information of your clients, that same system or phone, your child can play with it on data, read WhatsApp message, delete WhatsApp message. You cannot do that or send messages. So this is very important. This is very important. Because trust me, when you get a VA job, you are going to sign a contract and an NDA. And if you read the NDA very well, you will see that it is possible for you to be sued if you should reveal confidentiality. So through your access to the client's email and business documents, their customer and financial information, their contract and business strategy, their internal communication and account access, you come to learn confidential matters and data about them. Because you have access to these things does not mean you are permitted to share them. So it's not that anything you learn about your boss now, you just be discussing it with your friends. Say, this is my oga, this is what he's doing, and that is what he's doing, and this is what he's planning, that is what he's planning. You don't do it. And as I've said before, when it comes to the digital tools you are using, your gadgets, you want to use strong password, both for the softwares and for your phone itself. You want to secure your device. Very important. You want to be careful with links and attachments. Imagine if a client is having a very important document on your system and your system was hacked and everything was copied. You want to use proper cloud permission. You want to follow the client security protocol or procedure. Some clients will tell you that before you do something on my email, do this and this, or let me know, or this and this. Follow the procedure, please. Confidentiality is very important in this VA space. You are working with people, you are working with their money, you are working with information that some of them do not share with even their husband and their wife, and they're sharing it with you because you are their VA. It would be wrong for you to be the one spreading it. And data protection is also very important. Some clients might not want you to reveal their identity to people. You do not do it. So I'm emphasizing this, please. So Things that would help you to be able to manage confidentiality are passwords, multiple factor authentication, account security. So as a VA, usually you have accounts, you have your Gmail, your email, Yahoo Mail, you have cloud storage, you have communication tools, softwares, project management softwares, client system, freelancing platform. Some of these you have to get them personally, others the client might provide them for you. For each of them, you want to use a unique password. Now, this is very important. For each of them, use a unique password. Now, I'm talking from experience. Some of us are very fond of using the same password for everything. Please avoid that. Especially if you get, especially if you have more than one client. Even for one client, for different platform you are using with that client, use unique password. Now imagine if you have 3 clients and you are using one password for all of them. That's very wrong. You want to use strong credential when creating a password. You want to enable multi-factor authentication when possible. You want to use secure recovering information. And if you are using password managers, you want to use reputable password managers. Password managers are softwares that help you save password so you don't have to cram all of them. Google has it. A number of platforms have it. But ensure anyone you are using, it is reputable. You want to avoid obvious password. ABCD 1 2 3 4. Please don't use that. You want to avoid using the same password or 2 passwords for one, or using the same password for one account or all the accounts. Avoid it. You want to avoid unsecured password documents. You know, this is, some people will have a document that they write password, but that document itself is not secure. Now imagine, it's almost like you are keeping all your money in a public space. So avoid that. And for no reason should you unnecessarily share password, please. And this goes in our dealing with our families. If you know your child or your husband or your wife is the one that always want to know everything that is on your phone, there's problem. So you better ensure that your mate or whoever the person is aware that, okay, you are becoming a VA and these are some things he or she needs to respect. Please. A lot of us might think that, okay, I'm in Nigeria and this client is likely in the US. How would they even know? And what can I do in Nigeria that would likely affect him? Please don't. Because if it should come out that you fail to keep secured information secure, you would be surprised what you will lose. So please don't do it. And most importantly, even if you do not lose anything, very likely maybe they just drop you, it will affect your reputation. Imagine if you are on Upwork. Upwork is a platform where you can source for remote job. And because of failing to protect a client's confidentiality, you lost a job. And the client goes on Upwork and add that to your preview that you are someone that do not know how to keep confidentiality. Do you think other clients will want to employ you? The answer is no. So please, let's be very, very cautious of these. Now, what is the meaning of MFA? I'm sure a lot of us knows it. Sure, a lot of platform does it. It simply means multi-factor authentication. It means that when you want to log into an account or into a platform, you don't just use password. Sometimes you have to use password and a secret number, or password and a secret question. That is, there is multiple authentication before you are able to gain access. So password plus verification. A lot of them does it now. At first, you put the correct password. After you put the correct password, they will tell you that, okay, we'll send a code to your phone or we'll send a code to your Gmail. Provide that code. So that is multiple. The most popular is 2FA because it's 2. but some even goes as far as 3. So the key principle, a password alone should not be your only line of defense when strong security options are available. So if the platform is telling you you can have 2 verification, please use it. Use it, please. Now, backups. What does backups mean? Backup simply means that you are keeping a copy of all the information somewhere safe. In case if something happens to the information at hand, you can always get them. And most backup are done on cloud, although backup can also be done on hardwares. So a backup is a separate copy of important information that can be used to recover data if the original is lost, damaged, deleted, or corrupted. So how can data be lost? Computer failure. Some of us have experienced it maybe with your phone. Your phone is working very well, and one morning you just woke up, your phone is not working. All the number you save, fiam. Accidental delete. Maybe some of us have also experienced it. You accidentally deleted a message that you don't want to delete, or a picture, or somebody's contact, or an email. Malware, what we popularly call virus. The virus can attack your phone and you have no option but to flash the phone. Everything in it lost. Theft. Your phone can be stolen, your laptop can be stolen. Hardware damage. Your CPU may have a problem. Human error. You can mistakenly delete things or spoil things. So as a VA, you want to ensure you have backups for important files. But please, your backups have to be such that your client approves, so to speak. Your backup has to be such that your client approves. Some clients may also provide you a platform to do backup. So the basic work model is you have your primary storage and your backup. So your important work should not depend on only one storage location, not at all. Now, a number of us would hope to be able to work with international clients. Yes. But when it comes to working with international clients, there are some issues that come up. One of the most popular issues has to do with time and how you approach them. Remote work allows you to work with clients around the world. But for you to work with people around the world, you have to be aware that different people have different communication style. They have different business expectation, different holiday, different working hours, different meeting practices, different workplace culture, and different time zone. Very important, different time zone. Imagine you're working with a client that when you are sleeping is when he's active. And now imagine you are working with 2 clients. One of them, their time zone perfectly makes sense to your own time zone, but the other one is the exact opposite. How will you sleep? So professional approach, you want to observe the client's preferred working style and adapt appropriately. International communication, you want to avoid slangs. Nigeria or Africa slangs are different from the slangs abroad. If you are working with international clients, you avoid slangs. You want to always confirm date and time. You want to learn to confirm deadline. You want to confirm communication channels. You want to confirm meeting time. You want to understand client preference. We've talked about a number of these. Now, you also want to understand dates. Now, look at the example here. Please, can you see the example here? It says 03 of 04 of 2026. Of 2026. What does it mean? Could it be March 4th, 03 4 2026? Or could it be April 3rd, 03 as in third, 04 April 2026? You know, when it comes to time and date, there are different formats. So you have to try to avoid being ambiguous. Instead, you want to be very clear. This example is a very clear example. April 3rd, 2026. Nobody can mistake that. So if a client abroad should tell you something like this, please ask for clarification. If not, your deadline and his deadline might be a month or many days apart. Please, let's keep that in mind. So how do you understand and manage time zone? Well, a time zone is a graphical region that follows a particular standard time. Now, take for example, someone tells you, let's meet at 10 a.m. So as a VA, you need to know 10 a.m. where? Is it 10 a.m. GMT or 10 a.m. West African time or 10 a.m. East African time? So when you are working with a client, and there's something very interesting. You see, in Nigeria, Nigeria as a country as a whole, we have one time zone. The entire Nigeria has one time zone. But there are countries or regions where a country can have more than one time zone. The United States has more than one time zone. USA has more than one time zone. So because your client is in US, that does not mean you just go and answer GPT. What is the time in US and Nigeria? And you'll not be working. You are going to disappoint yourself and your customer and your clients. So you never assume the client's local time. Never. So what can help you? Simple question. When you are communicating with your clients, you ask them to clearly tell you what their time zone is. When they tell you what their time zone is, you would always be able to use their time zone to work with your own. And also there's something called daylight saving. There are some areas where their time zone changes, like Nigeria and UK. There are some times when Nigeria and UK has the same time. There are some times when Nigeria and UK has a 1 hour difference in time. Have anybody noticed that? Now, this is a question. Have you ever noticed that there are some times when Nigeria and UK has the same time, and there are some times when there's a 1 hour difference in it? Is a question. Has anybody noticed that? Okay, Joy said no. But there are some times of the year, there are some time in the year when Nigeria and the UK will be using exactly the same time. 7 o'clock here, 7 o'clock there. Why there are some times, okay, Tafik said yes. There are some times when 7 o'clock in Nigeria is 7 o'clock in the UK. Why there are some times when 7 o'clock in Nigeria is maybe 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock. I can't remember which in the UK. So this has to do with something called daylight saving. It changes, especially in the developed world or in Europe, actually. So you have to be aware of this. So if your client tells you we are meeting by 10 a.m., you have to understand, number one, what will be the current times at his place? Is there daylight saving or not? So these are things we want to put in mind. So you want to understand the client location, you want to understand the client time zone, you want to understand your own local time, you want to use time tools. There are some time tools that you can easily use. It will help you so you don't have to cram. Then you always want to confirm meeting. So if your boss tells you we are meeting by 10 a.m., you just quickly ask him, boss, 10 a.m. GMT, I believe. He says yes, you are good. So what are some of the professional VA workspace? Workspace means where and what do you need to work as a VA? A VA workspace is a physical and digital environment used to perform professional work. So for your physical workspace, what do you need? This is important. You need a computer or a laptop. Please, a phone may not be short. A phone is not advisable. You need a computer or a laptop. You need a desk. You need chair. You need a keyboard or a mouse. You need headphones. You would not want to be discussing with your client and everybody sitting around you, or anyone who entered the room should be able to hear what you're discussing with them. So you need headphone. You need your webcam to be on. Most of the clients will want to see you when discussing with you. You need an internet. Definitely you need an internet. That is a no-go area. So if possible, I would advise that you get as many SIM as possible. If you can get 5 SIM, all the SIM in your area that is working, you get them so that if one is disappointing you, we know we are in Nigeria. Small win will fall. Airtel will stop to work. Glow will stop to work. Only MTN will be working. You should be able to change your SIM immediately. And importantly, you also need power supply. This goes without saying. You cannot trust NEPA. you cannot trust NEPA. See, please do not worry about this. Very likely, the amount you are charging your clients will be able to cover for all of this. I've met people whom their client actually bought laptops for when their laptop became 40. I'm telling you the truth. But it has to do with the kind of relationship that was developed between the client and his or her VA. But these are things you will need. Maybe during the first month, you may have to struggle to get them, but once you get them, you become more effective in your work. And the more effective you become, the more you get more clients, and the more the return will help you. Now, what are some of the digital things you need in your workspace? You need a professional email. We'll talk about this later. Please, we need professional email, not finegay@yahoo.com, tallboy@gmail.com. Those are not professional, please. No client would like to see you with such mail. You need to understand cloud storage like Google Cloud. You need to be able to manage documents, Word or Google Doc, calendar, Google Calendar or Outlook. You have to be able to use communication tools and communication platform. Maybe Instagram, maybe Slack, maybe Notion AI, maybe WhatsApp, depending on what your clients need. You have to have proper password management. You have to understand backup system, and you have to be able to manage tasks effectively. So your workspace should provide your workspace should support reliable, secure, professional work. Please, a lot of these things at the start may seem daunting, but they are not. Hopefully, the money that will be gained through your work would help you to cover them. Computer and internet requirements, very, very important. For God's sake, we are working virtually. So you need a computer and you need an internet. The internet is what connects you to the world. The internet is what makes it possible for you to send documents to your client in the UK or even in Abuja. So your computer should comfortably handle web browsing, Chrome or Edge or whatever it is you like using, documents, email, spreadsheet, video meeting, cloud application, multiple browsing tab, communication application. So what are some important computer factors you have to keep in mind? Your computer processor, the RAM, your storage, your operating system, which we call OS, your webcam and microphone, are they working well? Your battery and connectivity. Especially for Nigeria, battery is very important. Battery is very important. To assist, recently, some people I knew are getting something we call a power bank for laptops. Power bank for laptops. So the same way we have power bank for phone, there are power bank for laptops. So it's very important. Why it is true, some tasks can be done on your phone. Let me be sincere with you. But sometimes there are some tasks that requires you to use your system or a laptop. So please, you need a laptop. Please note, you do not need the most expensive computer. You need a reliable one appropriate for your work. So it is not that we are not asking you or your client are not asking you to go and buy a 1.5 million naira laptop because you want to work as a VA. No. But ensure the one you have is appropriate and reliable for the work you want to do for the client. Now, how about your internet? It must be reliable. It goes without saying. The connection must be stable. The power must be uninterrupted if you are using maybe a model or a router. Your router must be reliable. You must have backup internet. I said that. So, if possible, make sure you have a Glow, MTN, Airtel, if possible, Starlink. Make sure you have all of them. So that if one is not working, you can easily swap to the other one. And also, you can use your mobile hotspots. There is no problem with that if you can't get a router. But the goal here is to minimize disruption in your client's work. Not when your client wants to have a call with you, network no call day. Okay, yeah, we talked about the professional email. I've discussed that before. Your email should reflect your identity. So for any work you want to apply for and any communication you want to have with your client, please ensure you have a professional email. And thank God today, you can have more than one emails and manage all of them from your phone or from your system. So please ensure the one you are using with your client is the one that is professional, not findgirl123 at yahoo.com. No, those are not professional. Those are social media Gmail. Use a professional mail, and a professional mail should carry your name. If your name is Moses John, your name is Moses John. If you can create a Gmail with mosesjohn at gmail.com, it is perfect. Or johnmoses at gmail.com, perfect. From your mail, they should be able to see your identity. From your mail, they should see your identity. So please, let's avoid things like cutegirl1234 at gmail.com, tallboy5678 at yahoo.com. Please, let's avoid all of that. It does not show you are being professional. It does not show you are being professional. So, what are professional email signature? Okay, I don't know if some of you have also noticed this. It is possible for you to add a signature to your Gmail or to your Yahoo Mail. Now, what is a signature? A signature is just a little information about you that would always be attached to all mail that you sent. It will always be attached to all mail that you sent, and you can set it up even on Gmail. I have it on my Gmail. You can set it up also. So immediately you are typing a mail, your mail provider automatically attach your signature. For example, a signature can look like the example we have here. Flowet, Nkoro, virtual assistant, your email, flowentukoro at email.com, your phone number, and your LinkedIn profile. And please, if possible, let's all of us have a LinkedIn profile. Now, I want to ask, do you guys have a LinkedIn profile? Please, I need an answer. Do you have a LinkedIn profile? Joe, you said no. Okay, Tafik said yes. Let me see. Yes. Okay. Joy, please, I would advise you get a LinkedIn profile. Facebook is for social. LinkedIn is for profession. So while on Facebook, if I should see your Facebook account, I believe this is your social media account. Facebook gives you a professional account. So please create a professional account. Use LinkedIn, please. So file organization, files versus folder. A lot of us may know what a file is, paper file, mobile file, and a folder, we know what they are. But as a virtual assistant, when I said file or folder, please, I'm not referring to paper file or global file. I'm referring to digital file and digital folders, those that are kept on a computer. That is what I'm referring to. As a virtual assistant, you must learn how to organize a file and a folder very well, so that if your client asks you for a certain document, you know how to get it. And even in your absence, your client will be able to get it because you've organized your files and folder very well. So what is file organization? File organization is the systematic arrangement of digital file into folders and subfolders so that informations can be easily found, managed, shared, or protected. So if you do not have a very good file organization, you have problems such as lost documents, duplicated documents, confusion, wasted time looking for a file or a folder, wrong version of a file or a folder, accidental sharing. Your client asks you to share file A, You are sharing file B because you did not name it very well or organize it very well. Now, this is an example of a professional client folder structure. And you can do this with your Google Drive account. Now, notice something. It says client, ABC consultant. Now, client is the name of the file, of the folder. ABC consulting is the name of the subfolder. While 01 admin is a file, 02 document is a document, stuff like that. So a clear, consistent folder structure saves time, prevents error, and reflects professional standards. It reflects professional standards. So see the example here. 01 admin, 02 document, 03 reports, 04 research. What does it mean? Everything that has to do with admin, contracts, agreements, onboarding documents, they are inside here. Everything that has to do with documents, working files, client provided material, they're inside documents. Everything has to do with reports are inside reports. Everything has to do with research are inside research. So if your client should ask you, my VA, get me the reports we worked with 2 months ago, you should know you are looking for it in reports. That is not when you start checking admin, then you now check documents, you now check reports. No. So this is a good way to organize a folder. Also, another good way to organize folder is to have what is called file naming convention. You want to name your files such that they are easy to identify. So a file naming convention is a consistent system for naming files that keep your work organized and professional. Please, let's notice something that has been re-emphasized throughout our class. The word organize keeps coming up. So please, as a VA, you must be organized in every aspect. Time, you're organized. Your personal life, you're organized. Dealing with a client, you're organized. Dealing with their documents and their information, you have to be organized. So you want to avoid saving files like a lot of us do. I still do personal files. If we check our phones, you will see some files that are called final.document, final2.document, new final.doc, new final2.doc. Some of us have something like that because we are just in a hurry to save those documents. No. A better one would have to do with something like client report August 2006.document. What does it mean? It means you know that this is the client report for August or this. Also, some documents may have different version. Maybe there may be a file report for today and another file report for today. Different, but the same thing. So you use what is called different version. If you notice the name here, this is version 0.1, this is version 0.2. So we want to do that. So there's a golden rule. It says be descriptive, be consistent, use dates consistently, and track version. So when you see the example here, you can learn many things already. From here, you can see that this is a marketing report. This is the first version, and this was the date it was created. Cloud storage. Cloud storage has to do with you storing files remotely in the cloud on cloud server, and you can access it through the internet. Example are Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive. We use them to store and organize documents, to share files and to collaborate, to access files from multiple devices. If a file is in the cloud, you can use both your phone and your system to access the same file, depending on the one you are working with. So what is the difference between your local and your cloud storage? Your hard drive on your system is your local storage. Today, a lot of systems use what is called SSD. Why? Things you store on the internet, things you store on Google Drive are your cloud storage. Hard drive, yes, the same. Your USB is also a local drive or a local storage. So what are some things you should know generally about Google Drive? Now, why are we focusing on Google Drive? Google Drive is one of the most important and most common cloud storage platform. And if you are already using Android and you have a Gmail, you likely already have a Google Drive. So from Google Drive, you can open Google Drive. You can create your client folder. You can create subfolder for a certain client. You can upload or you create the files. You will name the file or name the file. You can move the file. You can share only with authorized people, and you can check permission. One beauty of Google Drive is your client himself can create a file and share the file with you without sending it to you, and you'll be able to access it, and both of you can work on the file. So that is a very wonderful thing about Google Drive. In fact, with Google Drive, two people can work together on a document. Both of them can add things and delete things. So what are the different file sharing permission that is available on Google Drive? Now, what is file sharing and permission? Now, on Google Drive, you can share a file the same way you can send something with Bluetooth or with Xender that most of us are using. You can share something. But when you want to share a document on Google Drive, the person you are sharing it with, you can give the person some permission or no permission. Now, what permission can you give to the person? If you share a file with someone, you can give the person viewer's permission. Now, what does this mean? It means the persons can only view that document. They cannot edit the document. The person can only view the document. They cannot edit the document. If you give the person a commenter permission, the person can view your document. The person can add comments on your document, but the person cannot edit the document. The person cannot delete or add something, but he can add a comment to it. Now, what if you give someone an editor permission? The person can now edit your document. Sure, the person can delete the document. So depending on who you are sharing a file with, you can decide to just give viewers permission. You can decide to give commenter permission, or you can decide to give editor permission if you want the person to edit it. So give people only the access they need to perform their work. Never automatically give everyone editing access. So that is something you have to be careful with when we are using Google Drive. But by default, on Google Drive, most people have just viewers by default. So what are the communication tools and when to use them? We've discussed about them. We use emails. This is best for formal communication, for instruction, for document, for records, and for follow-up. Video calls, we use them for meetings, for consultation, for presentation and discussion like we are having. Then team messaging, Slack or Teams. Teams is by Microsoft. They are best for quick updates, for questions, for coordination, and for team communication. So if you find yourself in any of the situation here, this is very likely the channel you should use. If you want a formal instruction, please use your Gmail or your email. If you want a quick question for your team, you can use Slack or Teams. If you want a client meeting, you use Zoom or Google Meet. If it is an important document, please use email. Do not send important documents on WhatsApp or on Slack. Then if that has to do with team coordination, you use Slack or Teams. Now we are going to another aspect of it. We are coming back to the VA. Now, what is the job description of a VA? What is the job description of a VA? What does your work as a VA entails? Job descriptions explains the responsibility, the qualification, the skills, the tools, the experience, and the expectation associated with a position. Now, why is it important when you are seeking for a job as a VA, you analyze job description? Because they will reveal to you a clear picture of the market and what your clients need. So by reviewing a job description for a VA role, you come to know what the client needs, what tools they use, what skills are in demand, and what you need to learn. So you can see the picture here. This VA is reading the job descriptions before applying for a job. So it's not just a matter of just going there and you see a VA job and you're applying. No, you have to understand what the job description entails. Sorry. So how do we analyze a VA job description? First thing, you look at the job title. What position is being advertised? Second, you look at the responsibility. To do this, you look for action words such as, is it to manage? Is it to schedule, to organize, to research, to respond, to prepare, to coordinate, or to track? You look for the technical skills that are required. We've discussed technical skills, if you remember. The technical skills that are required. You look for the soft skills that are required. Are they looking for someone that is good at communicating? Or do they need someone that is very good at organizing? Or are they looking for a trustworthy, reliable person? So you have to look at that. Then you look at the tools they demand the person to have. Are they looking for someone who is good at Excel alone? Or they need someone who is good at Google Workspace alone? Or they need someone who is good at Slack or at Canva? Or they need someone who knows all of them? Then you look at the experience that is required. Are they looking for someone that is new? Or they're looking for someone that has experience over a certain amount of years? Then you also look at what the client is expecting you to do. Is the client expecting you to help them manage, or they're expecting you to help them solve a certain problem? Then you also look at the skill gap. You compare what the job requires and what you have. This will help you realize what you need to learn. Please, sometimes you might be fortunate enough to get a job description that perfectly matches you, but mostly it's not like that. Now, does that mean you should give up? No, it does not mean you should give up, but it means that you may have an area you need to work on or something else you need to learn. So what are some of the examples of job description? Now, imagine if you see a job description, a VA job description that talks about administrative virtual assistant. The responsibility, it says managing email and others, as you can see there. Requirement, communication. These are the skills that are needed. Some of it, attention to details, Microsoft Office, deadline management, independent work. Means you can work on your own without a team. So you are going to analyze it. Now, here you've seen what the job requires. Now you analyze it. From here, it was clearly stated that this VA is an administrative virtual assistant. So you ask yourself, am I that? What are the technical skills? From here, you could see them. Email management is a technical skill. Spreadsheet management, you could see that also. Update spreadsheets. File management, you could see that also. Organize file. Research and report preparation, you could see that also. The soft skills, communication and organization, attention to details, time management and independence. Now, what are the potential tools? From here, you could see Gmail or Outlook, Excel and Word, Google Drive, web browsing. So this is how you look at a VA job description and then you analyze it based on what you can do or what you have. So what are some of the career paths in VA? Most people who comes into it always start as an entry-level VA. So usually job for days, you'll see them written such as junior VA, administrative VA, data entry assistant, customer support assistant, or remote administrative assistant. All of this falls under entry level. Then we have the sorry Tijani, your mic is unmuted. Let me mute you. All right, thank you. Then the specialized part of it. We have the executive VA. You see them written executive VA, social media VA, e-commerce VA, research VA, operation VA. Then the advanced, you see executive assistant, operational coordinator, project coordinator, client success specialist, remote operation specialist. These are the advanced parts. Then entrepreneurship, these are usually, everyone can start with this: freelance VA, specialized VA business, VA agency, remote support company. Please do not allow these things to scare you. Everyone starts from a point. Everyone starts from a point. Now, as a VA, how do you manage your day? Remember, I said this, that as a VA, you must learn to manage your day to be able to assist your clients. So as a VA, the first task of a VA is to learn to manage themselves. If a VA cannot manage his or her own activity, it will be difficult for the VA to assist his or her clients. So as a VA, you need to learn to create a professional daily schedule, and this will include your working hours, your client communication, your priority tasks, meetings, breaks, deadline, review, through quality control, and end of day planning. So you have to organize your day instead of simply reacting to tasks. It is very important. So if you are someone that, some people like describing themselves that I am a very spontaneous person, please, as a VA, you cannot work spontaneously. You will overwork yourself and you would overwork your clients. So you have to be someone that is organized. So what are some practical client communication scenarios? Imagine if your client just sent you a message with a new tax. Please prepare the customer report by 2 p.m. Now, how can you reply? You can say, thank you. I have received the instruction and will prepare the customer report for 2 p.m. I will let you know if I encounter any issue that could affect the deadline. Are you seeing this? This is very proactive. First, you acknowledge you received the report. Second, you acknowledge that you are working with it with the time or the deadline in view. And third, you also acknowledge that in case if you should come up with any issue that may affect the deadline or even the work, you will let your client know. So this is very important. Another scenario, imagine your client comes up and just tells you, could you please confirm which presentation? Okay, this is not another scenario. This is a scenario we actually discussed a time ago. Imagine your client tells you that you should make a presentation and you are not sure of it. So you ask for clarification. Professionally, you could ask, could you please confirm which presentation and folder you like me to organize? Then if there is missing information, you can also ask, I have started preparing the report, but I notice that the sales figures of the final period are missing. Could you please provide the missing figures so I can complete the report accurately? Do you see this? This is very important. Now imagine if you had to make this report available by 2 p.m. and you started working on this 15 minutes to 2, and then you notice something is missing. Now, how do you think your client will feel if that is the time you start noticing that something is missing? They'll feel very bad. And what if your client is not even available to respond to your message immediately, but somehow they are hoping that you get the report available by 2 p.m.? So you see reason why we discuss something called time and task management. You don't start preparing at the exact time. No. Instead, you prepare backward towards the time, so that if an issue like scenario theory occur, you could manage up and ensure that your client gets the report by 2 p.m. As we've said, instead of guessing, communicate instead of staying silent. So if there's an issue, you want to communicate professionally. So this has to do with the way you create your client's file system. We also mentioned some of these previously. That has to do with the way you create the folders. That has to do with folders. So you have to learn to create folders, to create files, to rename them, to move them, to copy files, to upload files, to download files, to share files, to check permission, to organize files correctly. We've discussed all of this. Something you should keep in mind when you are managing a file and a folder. Ask yourself this question: can another person find the correct file without asking you where it is? If you create and manage your files and folder very well, someone else should be able to find a correct file or folder based on the way you create it. Take for example, if I'm not your boss, but maybe I'm a new staff and they've given me permission to the files or folder, and the boss is asking me, go and get our finance record for last year. If I should come to this folder arrangement here, I would know where to go. I would know I should go to finance. But imagine if this is scattered, or they are called file 1, file 2, file 3. Would I know where to go? The answer is no. So you want to ensure that your client file and folder system are well built. Now, this is a practical thing we want to do. We're already coming to the end of our class for today. After my presentation, I'll give a few minutes for some questions based on what we've discussed. Now, what if, okay, this is not what if. Yeah, we are asking you to compare the skills you have now and the skills we've discussed. The skills you have now, like now, and the skills we've discussed. Take for example, your communication skills. At what level would you put it? Are you a beginner? Are you an intermediate or advanced? And do you need to improve or not? Your email management. How do you manage your own email? Do you understand email management? Or you just go there and you're looking for email? So what level would you put yourself? Are you a beginner? Are you an intermediate or advanced? Do you need to improve? Organization. I've mentioned it a lot. Are you organized? How would you describe yourself? Your use of Excel or Google Sheets. Your ability to do research and your ability to manage file. So all of this. When you identify what you already know and what you need to know, this will help you to become a better employee and will also make it easier for you to be employable. Please, nobody is perfect. See, trust me, even those experienced virtual assistants, they are still growing. And trust me, they didn't get to where they are today, just today. So you can trust also that you can also achieve that. So we'll finally come to the end of our course for today. I have prepared an assignment for you to work on. Please, for this assignment, be free. Try to recall what we've discussed. So I want you to choose a virtual assistant specialization. You could select one from administrative, executive, social media, customer support, e-commerce, research. Then I want you to identify the roles. I want you to identify 5 responsibilities that are required. I want you to identify 5 technical skills that it requires, 5 soft skills that it requires, 5 relevant tools that it requires, and 3 businesses or professional that may hire this particular VA. Part 2, I want you to identify, to analyze 3 VA job description. If you want to get VA job description, you can go to Upwork or you can go to LinkedIn. So you are seeing reason why I asked you if you have a LinkedIn account, because that is where you see VA job description. So let me ask again, do any of you here have a Upwork account? Do you have an Upwork account? Okay, Joy has an Upwork account. Joy, that is wonderful. And yes, you don't have a LinkedIn account, Joy. Please get a LinkedIn account. Then you can connect your LinkedIn account to your Upwork account. Okay, Joseph. Joy said no. Oh, okay. I was reading the last message. Or am I wrong? Yes, I was wrong. I was reading the last message. Okay, Esther said no. Joseph, no, no, no. Oh, okay. Juliana has an Upwork account. Please, I will also advise you to get an Upwork account. Upwork is a platform that allows you to look for and to get remote jobs. So please, you can also get that. So you'll be able to look for VA jobs. And then I want you to analyze their descriptions, what the job titles are, what the specialization is, what the responsibilities are, what are the technical skills needed, what are the soft skills, what are the tools, what are the experience required, and what are the client expectations. Then part 3. Now, this is a very personal one. For this part, you have to be truthful to yourself. You cannot lie here. Lying is not allowed. You can't lie to yourself. So I'm sure you will not lie. For this part, you have to try to identify your personal skill gap. What are the skills you already have? What are the skills you need to improve? And what are the tools you need to learn to use? So I want you to do that. Okay. This is a project, something you can also work on personally. I want you to set up a professional email. We've talked about this. You can have more than one email. So if your present email is not such that is professional, please set up a professional one. And even if your personal email is professional, you can still decide to get a separate email for your jobs. I know people who do that. Some people have a separate email for their job. So you can do that. You can do that. You can add an email signature. You could try to work with a cloud storage. Google Drive is a cloud storage. You could learn to work with communication tools, backup system, and security measures. Okay, I'm coming. Let me go back. Can I go back to the previous slide? This slide, I believe. Okay, please. Let me finish the slide. I will come back and I will leave it on this slide for you to maybe copy. I will come back to it. I will come back to this slide. The assignment slide. I will come back to it. Also, I want you to create a main VA workspace. I want you to create a client folder, subfolders, at least 5 sample files, professional files name, and appropriate sharing permission. Very likely after this call, I will speak with my boss, and very likely maybe this PowerPoint will be made available to you. So, as a recap, we've covered a lot. But what should you remember? Even if you forget a lot of things, remember that a virtual assistant provides professional business support remotely, and that a remote work requires digital tools, independence, organization, and communication. Then that professionalism means you being reliable, being accountable, being organized and professional. And for your skills, that you need both technical, which is hard skills, and professional, which is soft skills. And for security, you must always learn to protect clients' information and use appropriate security practices. Then, this goes without being said, you must be organized. You must be organized. And for your career, a VA work can lead to specialized, advanced, and entrepreneurial opportunities. So there are a lot of opportunities in it. Yes, Juliana, this training is recorded. Although I didn't start recording it early, I'm sorry. But I believe it's recorded. If it's being recorded, you should see a notification from your end that tells it is recorded. Please, is anyone seeing that notification that the call is being recorded? There should be a notification, the red dot that tells you this call is being recorded. Please, are you seeing that? Okay, you are seeing. Okay. It showed when we started. How about now? Is it not showing? Sorry, please, I want to ask again. Are you seeing the red dot that shows it is being recorded? It is recorded. Okay, it is still showing. All right, thank you very much. So, as a VA, what mindset should you have generally? Now, the mindset I want you to go home with today is, as a professional VA, you don't simply ask, what task am I doing? Instead, you ask, what problem is my client trying to solve? And how can I complete this work accurately, professionally, and reliably? You notice something here? The focus of you as a VA is not yourself, and is the reason you are not asking yourself, what task am I doing? Instead, you ask, what problem is my client? Your client is the subject. Your client is the purpose. Your client is the most important reason for your VA work. So you ask, what problem is my client trying to solve? And then how can you complete it accurately, professionally, and reliably such that it will help solve the problem of your clients? So these are just some of the checklists, and here is a final message for you. Your VA career starts with your system. I've said it. Your VA career starts with you yourself. So as a professional and a successful virtual assistant, you need more than a computer or a laptop. You need skills. You need professionalism. You need organization. You need communication. Good one. You need to be reliable. You need to be security conscious and one who can keep confidentiality. Most importantly, you need to be able to learn. Learning does not end. And as a VA, you always need to learn. New tools will come out, new ways of doing things will come out. You have to continue learning. So your goal should not be simply to work remotely. No. Your goal is to become a professional that client can trust to work with remotely. So that is what I want your goal to be at the end of this entire course. So there is the much we can take for today. It was really nice having you all here. I really appreciated your time and the way you coordinated yourself during the class. So I promise to come back to this slide for the assignment, so I'm back. Before we call it a day, please, I don't know if anybody has questions. I would entertain questions. Please, if you want to ask questions, I would advise you raise your hand up. There is the icon to raise your hand, please, so I can call you. If you have question, if you want clarification. Okay, I would ask. I don't have the permission to give the manual now, but I would ask, and then if it is available, it will be dropped on the WhatsApp page. I would ask. Please, I would advise you just drop it as a question or as a need or as a plea on the WhatsApp page so that the person in charge would also get it in case if I should forget. Any other question? Okay, Juliana, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Good evening, sir. My
Good
name is
evening.
Juliana. Well done, sir. You
Thank
talked
you.
about email management.
Yes.
Can we? I have an email with my name. Like my name is Tijani Juliana Onechojo. So I have an email with Juliana Onechojo at gmail.com. Can I also create an email with same Juliana Onechojo again?
No, you can't create with
Because
that.
that's already in existence now. Can I also still create another Juliana Onechojo?
Okay, Juliana, no, you can't do that. Gmail will not allow you to create with
Hello,
a
sir.
name that is. Can you hear me? I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Your
Yes, sir, I can
Gmail.
hear you, sir.
Okay. Your Gmail is already professional. From the way you described it, is already professional. So you can use it. You can use it. And if you want, very likely maybe you've been using it for some personal things and you now have many mails in it and you don't want to mistake or get lost. You can still create a new professional one combining your three names. You can also use your initial. The most important thing is if someone should see your official name and they should see your Gmail, they should know that yes, this is yours. Take for example, you can decide to use Juliana OT at yahoo.com. It is still professional because it contains one of your name and two of your initials. You can decide to use Juliana underscore Tijani at yahoo.com. It is acceptable. But the most important thing, what makes an email professional is when you see it, you can identify the name of the person in it. Take for example, someone that is like that says pretty girl 123 at yahoo.com. There is no one that will guess it. But Juliana, if I've not meant you and I should come across your Gmail, I will be able to at least guess that this person's name is Tijani Juliana based on it. So that is what a professional email does. It carries your identity. I hope I was able to answer your question. Please, can anybody still hear me? Can you guys hear me? All right. Thank you very much. So please, any other question? Okay, Joseph, 1-4.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Joseph.
Uh, my name is one for Joseph. I wanted to know when are we submitting the assignment?
Okay, that will be communicated to you. I'll try maybe this evening or first thing tomorrow morning. All right, Juliana, your hand is still up.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
No, okay. Okay,
I don't know.
continue.
I came into the class a bit late. I don't know. You talked about in career part in VA.
Yes.
I am a medical personnel, and that's the part I would love to go. How do I navigate it, sir? I'm sorry to ask this. If it's going to be a lesson for another day, just tell me, sir.
Okay, we'll go more into it another day. Today was just a general introduction. We'll go more into it. But you can also think about it. But we'll go more into it. Whether it is medical, whether it is agricultural, whether it is business, whether it is engineering, usually they all have executive, they all have professionals, and these people need VAs. But we'll go more into it as the program goes forward. But that is a very nice question, and I really appreciate it because it shows right now you already have a goal of what your prospective employers will look like, and that is very nice. That is very nice. I'm sure if you should open a Upwork account and you type something like that as a search, you would see professionals in the medical field who are looking for virtual assistants. All right. So I want to say a very big thank you to all. In the absence of no question. Okay, Joseph.
Is there any video tutorial for opening the Upwork account?
Okay. It's quite simple. It's quite simple. But I believe we might also touch on it a little. But it's quite simple. Upwork is just like how you open any social media account. Even LinkedIn also. It's quite simple. It's very instructive, straight to the point. They tell you what you need.
Okay.
Okay. Let me stop sharing for now. So any questions? Still any question? Questions are welcome. All right. In the absence of no question, I would like to call it a day. It was nice meeting you all, and I really appreciated your being here. Joy, Juliana, Emmanuel, Joseph. There were some others. I very likely their network took them out, but I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. So hopefully we'll meet again for the next class, and then we'll dive deeper into what we've done. Today's class was really an introduction. I mentioned Emmanuel, or did I not? I said Joy, Juliana, Emmanuel, Joseph. If I did not, my apology. But Emmanuel, thank you very much for also being here. I really appreciate. All right, all. Enjoy your day and have a wonderful night rest. Bye. Oh, okay. My name. Oh, my name is Mr. Ayola. So that is my name. Sorry, there is no S. The S was a typo. Nice meeting you too. All right. All of you to enjoy your day. Bye.